Navneet Chahal, partner with Bain Company, joins us now, and they're talking about a powerful report of how India is going to be strewn $1 trillion economy or $1 trillion digital economy by 2030. So, Navneet, good morning. Thank you for joining us. India's current GDP is about 3 trillion. I'm just using that for benchmarking purposes. Your view is that large part of the future growth, where India will move from 3 trillion to $5 trillion, will be driven by the digital economy. What is your definition of digital economy, and what gives you the confidence that the digital economy right now, which is about 250 to 300 billion, could actually be a trillion in less than 10 years?
Yeah. So, Nikunj, we are defining the digital economy as sectors that are powered by the internet, largely consumer-facing sectors, but also includes any B2B e-commerce activity or SaaS. I think the reason we are very confident of this economy unlocking $1 trillion for the GDP is actually a confluence of three factors. I think we are interestingly at a point which is a bit of an inflection for the digital economy. The first most important factor that's playing out is actually an unprecedented digital consumption unlock that's happening. We do expect the GDP per capita to more than double by 2030, which is largely going to be led by consumption. 700 million internet users in the country with time spent online well ahead of China and already inching closer to US averages. So in some senses, the Haath mein smartphone is now accompanied by Jeb mein paisa. And I think that combination is what has led to a dramatic shift in online transactors. We define these as people who are not just online for consuming video content or browsing social media, but are actually making purchases online. This number was 10 to 15% 5 years ago. Of the total internet users in the country. We now have about 30 to 35% of the total internet users in the country, the 700 million I spoke about, who are now transacting online. So both these savvy digital Indian users are going to actually spend more online as they premiumize, as they get exposed to new products, new services. We also expect more penetration in the internet user base itself. So both of those coming together, I think, will truly unlock at least the B2C digital economy. The other factor that's also played a very critical role is India's stack. I think India's figured out a way to build large digital public goods at a very different scale from the rest of the world. UPI has perhaps been the largest innovation of the last decade, perhaps globally. So as ONDC, as OCAN, UHI find their feet in use cases, I think the foundational layer is so well laid that it can power innovation at a very, very breathtaking speed. That is the second reason we believe that the digital economy will take off as never before. And the last aspect is actually the business ecosystem coming together and the role that businesses will play. With consumer demand lined up, with the foundational elements through India Stack coming through, I think all kinds of businesses are already making strides in building a digital core. We also believe it will be more inclusive phenomena, not just driven by the startups, for instance. The first generation of success stories there have definitely led to a more mature, wizened, measured startups ecosystem, and that will continue to thrive. But it has also spurred large traditional businesses to reinvent themselves.
Navneet was interviewing Rajan Anandan over the weekend, and he said that the biggest disruptor, without a doubt, is going to be AI. And I just want to understand what your outlook is in terms of organization and startups really adopting to rewiring themselves to this. Is there going to be that fear as well of a replacement of jobs or roles to a certain extent?
Well, I'm not an expert on the topic, although I did study computer science back in the day. So, just that caveat as I talk through this. I think the way we look at, AI is interestingly how maybe Andrew put it, the Coursera CEO, that it's the new electricity in some ways. And much like electricity transformed multiple industries in the past, I think AI is doing that already. So in some senses, a lot of big tech strategies pivoting to AI being at the very core. So generative AI is going to be the birthplace of multiple large companies that are, already being born. So in some senses, it's inevitable that it will change everything in most industries. So whether you're on the right side or the wrong side of that change depends entirely on how different companies will react to the change. For instance, there are companies already making use of AI to write code 5x faster and cheaper. And it may turn out differently and a lot more, positive in terms of the outcomes that they will see as a result. The report also does talk about many of the use cases that, companies have already started to leverage. Customized recommendations, promotions, rewards are a whole host of, how do you optimize the consumer journey leveraging AI. Customer service is also fundamentally changing as well. So there's definitely a lot of thinking and innovation happening with AI at the core, and we will definitely see organizations reinventing themselves in light of this.